Today I'll be talking about expert system. In the previous video, we discussed about artificial intelligence. Now, one of the application of artificial intelligence is expert system. What exactly is this expert system? Expert system is a computer program that attempts to imitate experts' reasoning processes and knowledge in solving specific problems, right? So expert system is a system which can replicate the expert's knowledge, and the user can actually make use of the expert's knowledge and take decision based on the expert's knowledge. So that is what expert systems do. It is one of the most popular application of artificial intelligence. The basic benefit of using expert system is to enhance its productivity and also to augment the workforce. It will support the workforce in such a way as to it will enhance the productivity of the entire workforce of an organization. This works better with narrow problem areas or tasks. This expert system can be used in very specialized focal areas, and you can actually take decisions on those specialized focal areas as well as the problems associated with those areas. Expert system do not replace experts. This is one of the important point that we have to keep in mind. This is not for replacing the expert as such, but it will make their knowledge available to everybody. Sometimes it may so happen that in one particular problem area or one particular niche area, there will be very few experts who are actually knowledgeable about that particular area. Now the question is, how do you spread the knowledge of these experts to other people? So in such situation, you can actually make use of expert systems and disseminate the knowledge. So for that purpose, expert systems are very good. They make their knowledge and experience more widely available and thus permit non-expert to work better. That is the major application of expert systems. Now, the structure of expert system, or how does this expert system works, or what are the components of expert system? So actually the environment of expert system can be divided into two. There is a consultation environment as well as a development environment. So like in a software, there is a front end and a back end. So this consultation environment is the front end of this expert system, wherein you have a user, there is a user interface, and there is a inference engine, wherein you can actually post questions to the inference engine. Now, how does in the back end the process works? There is a human expert and there is a knowledge engineer. What he does is he elicits knowledge from the expert and from other sources of the knowledge, and he will create inference rules as well as it will be stored in knowledge-based systems for long-term use. And using this inference rules, and there is an inference engine wherein there is an explanation facility, knowledge refinement, and a blackboard, which will work together and take decisions based on that particular query. So we'll see one by one what are these concepts. So who is an expert? He's a person who has special knowledge, judgment, experience, and methods to give advice and solve problems. So he'll be a person who is very knowledgeable in that particular area. And who is a knowledge engineer? He's a person who structures the problem area by interpreting and integrating human answers to questions, drawing analogies, posting counter examples, and enlightening conceptual difficulties. So this is a key person who will transfer the expert knowledge onto the system, right? And there is user, and there are other members like system analyst, builder, support staff, etc. So this comprises the human element of expert systems. And there are three basic components in an expert system, that is the knowledge base, inference engine, and user interface. User interface is something which we interact with the expert system. This is the graphical user interface that we see. You can actually see in the software. So this is where you communicate with the software. Inference engine is called as the brain of the expert system. This is where actually all the logical reasoning, logical process, then based on rules and many other analysis which is happening here in the interface engine. This is the knowledge base wherein the knowledge engineer elicit knowledge from the expert and stored in knowledge base for the future use. And ES may also contain knowledge acquisition subsystem, a blackboard, which is a short-term memory wherein basic analysis can be done. Then explanation subsystems, that is called as justifier, and knowledge refining systems. Now, what is this knowledge acquisition? This is the extraction and formulation of knowledge derived from various users, especially from the expert. So, the knowledge engineer will elicit knowledge from different sources as well as from the expert, and he will compile and it will be stored in the knowledge base. Blackboard is a working memory. It is an area of working memory set aside for description of a current problem and for recording intermediate results in an expert system. So this is where actual process will happen for a short period of time. When a query is given, the processing will happen in the blackboard. And there is an explanation subsystem wherein the component of expert system that can explain the system's reasoning and justify its conclusions. Why such a decision has to be taken, or why you have to give that particular medicine. Those kind of answers you will get it from the explanation subsystem. Now, one of the important concept of expert system is knowledge engineering, called as KE. This is a set of intensive activities encompassing the acquisition of knowledge from human experts and other information sources and converting this knowledge into repository, which is called as a knowledge base. As I told you earlier, this is where you collect all the information and then stored in a knowledge database. So the primary goal of KE is to help experts articulate how they do what they do and to document the knowledge in a reusable form. So it may so happen that you are an expert, but you don't know how to communicate with the other people about your expertise. So what a knowledge engineer will do is, he will sit with you, find out different areas wherein your knowledge relies. They ask probing questions and then collect all the information related to that particular area and then convert it into a usable knowledge format. And it also has a narrow versus broad definition of KE. Now, what is narrow versus broad definition of KE? Sometimes the knowledge could be very shallow, wherein you just have information about certain areas. And there is another type of knowledge wherein it is procedural in nature, which we will see in the coming slides. So this is how the knowledge engineering process works. You have a knowledge acquisition, there is a problem, and based on that problem, you collect the knowledge, and raw knowledge is converted into knowledge representation, and knowledge representation again is codified into knowledge, and you validate the knowledge, and validated knowledge will be sent to the inference engine, that is called inferencing, or the reasoning part of your process. And then there is a explanation and justification that is based on the meta knowledge, which is being done through this particular process. So again, finally you get the solution. Now, what are the major categories of knowledge that can be available in ES? That is a declarative knowledge. It is a shallow knowledge which can be about a product, about certain areas, or about a particular problem. This is called as a declarative knowledge. Another type of knowledge is called as a procedural knowledge, wherein you understand or consider the manner in which things works under different sets of circumstances. When temperature increased, what will happen to the machine? When temperature is decreased, what will happen to the machine? These kind of procedural knowledge is called is the second type of knowledge, called procedural knowledge. Third is the meta knowledge. It is knowledge about the knowledge. So these are the three major categories of knowledge in ES. Now, how does the inference mechanisms work? It works on basically two types of methodology called as forward chaining and backward chaining. Now, what does this forward chaining does? It is a data-driven search in a rule-based system wherein the premise or clause matches the situation, then the process attempts to assess the conclusion, right? So, based on data, you go forward and reach a particular conclusion. So, this is what happens in the forward chaining approach. And in the backward chaining, it is a goal-driven search in a rule-based system wherein it begins with the action clause of a rule and works backward through a chain of rules and in an attempt to find a verifiable set of conditions or clauses. So, just the opposite of forward chaining, you start with the conclusion and then you go forward, backward and try to find out the possible conditions for that particular situation. So this is how inference work in the knowledge engineering part or in the expert system. Now, these are some of the application areas of expert system. You can find ES in interpretation systems, prediction systems, diagnostic systems, repair systems, design systems, planning systems, monitoring systems, debugging systems, instruction systems, control system, etc. Now, what are the benefits of using expert system? One of the major benefits is once an organization spends so much amount, time, energy on a particular person, he becomes the expert. And when he leaves the organization, the expertise leaves with him. So the question is, how do you capture that particular expertise and keep it with the organization? So one of the benefit of ES is you can actually capture the scarce expertise and keep it with the organization. Another is it will increase the productivity and quality of the decision that you are taking. There is a decreased decision making time because you already know about the certain aspect or how it has to be done. You just have to interact with the system. So this decreased decision making time, reduced downtime via diagnosis, right? So when a mechanical failure happens, the system will tell you where exactly is the problem. So downtime can be reduced, easier equipment operations, elimination of expensive equipment, ability to solve complex problems, knowledge transfer to remote location. If the expert is in say California and you're sitting here in Kerala, the transmission of expertise is possible. One simple example is say you have some complex tumor and you wanted to operate, and a doctor from Kerala can communicate with the doctor in California and do the procedure. Integration of several experts' opinion. It can work with uncertain information and so on. There are so many benefits of having an expert system. And what are the limitations of expert? One of the biggest limitation or problems that expert system faces knowledge. Only a limited amount of knowledge can be captured and coded into the database. It is impossible for a knowledge engineer to completely capture the expertise of the expert. It is a very impossible task. So knowledge is not always readily available or it cannot be completely captured. Expertise can be hard to extract from humans. Some may be very reluctant to share their expertise because once you lose that USP, you cannot survive in the competitive world. So in such situations, some people will be very reluctant to share the expertise. Fear. it is one big factor which hinders the knowledge acquisition process. When conflict arises in dealing with multiple experts, some people likes to do in a certain way. Some people may like to do the same process in another way, which they claim as easier. So these kind of clashes can happen. So the knowledge engineer should be able to understand the differences and then take a correct coding, or he should be able to properly code that knowledge and keep it in knowledge base or databases. ES work well only in a very narrow domain of knowledge. You cannot apply ES systems in every situation. That is not possible. If it is a very limited or very niche area, then only you can use expert systems. The knowledge engineers are rare and expensive. It takes so much patience, effort, so much skill to extract knowledge from the experts. And it needs to be verified also. So this is an area where you need specialized skills. So there is these knowledge engineers are very rare in nature. Then lack of trust by the end users. We humans have a tendency to believe in our own gut feelings and our own intentions. We are reluctant to trust our system. So that lack of trust can, undermine the benefits of expert systems. Yes, sometimes produces incorrect recommendation. Yes, works on certain principles by the inference engine. If something wrong happens in the inference engine, that can affect the solution part. Right? These are some of the very few or rather important problems of expert systems. Now, what are the success factors which support ES systems? So these are some of the critical success factors which will support ES system. Having a champion in management. If your top management supports the knowledge engineer, then ES systems will work out well. Then user involvement and training. This is another important area wherein it determines the success of ES. Justification of the importance of the problem. A good project management teams, and also the level of knowledge that must be sufficiently high. There must be at least one cooperative expert who are willing to share the knowledge. The problem must be mostly qualitative in nature. Quantitative nature, it is very difficult. The problem must be sufficiently narrow in scope. It should be in a very niche area. The ES shell must be high quality with friendly user interface and naturally strong and manipulate the knowledge. That also should be there. But what is the current scenario? Only 1 out of 3 ES systems have survived in more than 5 years. Generally, ES fail because of the lack of system acceptance by the user, inability to retain the developers, problem in transitioning from development to maintenance, shift in organizational priorities, etc. And also proper management of ES development and deployment could resolve most of them. But unfortunately, these when your priorities shift in the organization, it may fail when it comes to expert systems. Thank you.